What's up, everybody? My name is DJ Darby. I'm with the Red, White&Pissed podcast. It is 10 after 10 p.m. On the 24th of February, and we're on episode 4. So I'm highly grateful to be able to make it to my 4th episode, considering that most podcasts don't make it past the 3rd, uh, statistically. So there's your little weird fact to start off the night. But we have a few things to talk about, and I feel like I guess we're a little boring. We're not getting the views that we got on the first episode. Now I understand a lot of people were just trying to see what we're about on the first episode and might not have fit their narrative. Hey, it might have been a one hit wonder on that episode, but I would like for y'all to, if you are tuning in, if you're available to share this or do something to help spread the word, that would help. I understand I'm not the most professional. I've got a lot of kinks to work out. I do plan on still adding music. I do still plan on adding this to Apple. Ran into some bump in the roads on that. Still to this day, you would think I got it fixed by now, but I am a full time dad and I am also working a full time job, so I am limited on the time that I'm available. But we're gonna try to do the best with what we got. I know it'd be cool to have something in the background. I mean, I got John Wayne. It don't get much better than that, but I do plan on adding some flags and some other decor stuff. The wood paneling's not that cool. I get it, but like I said, I'm being dealt the hands I've got. Uh, tonight we've got a few things to talk about. Like I said, and I really don't know that it's going to be the biggest deal, but I have had a bunch of questions on who am I going to support for the governor race in Alabama, because quite honestly, you have a lot of options, and I will say that. But I'm not going to say you have the best. I think this is one of the most poorly executed governor races I've ever seen. And I would like to touch on that a lot. And who I actually am going to support, because I promise you it's going to be an oddball to y'all. And then, you know, I want to get more into the Senate stuff and who's running for senator of Alabama. I know who I want, but I would like to check him in a little bit more, or check into him a little bit more before I actually publicize who I like. Because I've actually researched a lot on this governor stuff. I've been critical of it on my Facebook, and I've gotten some positive feedback, and I've also gotten some negative, and I've also been able to educate some people on who they are supporting and what I think their flaws are to that, and also what they would be able to benefit. And I'm not going to be, you know, hypercritical of this. There's a lot of Democrats running in Alabama. We all know this is a red state, so it's very hard for them to be, you know, positive in this state. And honestly, they do the shit to themselves. I'm just going to be honest with you. One of the points I bring up tonight is absolutely disgusting to see out of somebody that is up that at that standard. And honestly, I haven't told a lot of people this, but I'm not a politician, and y'all all know that. Everybody that knows me, and most of the people that tune into this podcast know me pretty well. And from what they can see on my Facebook and stuff, because that is how I promote this podcast. Um, but I'm not really a political person. Now, I do love to study politics. Politics are very important in my life, and they're very important in your life, whether you want to admit that or not. With that being said, I have actually hinted around to the idea of one day running for governor of Alabama. But now, of course, that is like a shot in the dark. I don't have the funds to keep up with half these people. And I think I am very, very educated in certain things. And obviously, there's things I could benefit from, but or improve on, um, to help the state of Alabama, because this is where I reside, and I'm very, very big on our state, um, and of course the whole country in itself. But I really focus in on the local level of government, and I'm just kind of I don't shit where I eat, and I'll say that by saying I have no problem calling out people's bullshit, but at the end of the day, I do live here, so I don't think that I would be a very influential person for a lot of people to advocate for, but I have explored that option. And to be honest with you, I never count on that ability, but uh, I would like to look into it eventually. And it will not be on in this election time. Okay, I promise you that. Okay, so I'm gonna hit on some stuff that we're gonna go over today or tonight. Sorry, it's pretty late, but um, I have a topic that's really kind of hit with me, and I've advocated it. I advocated for it this whole time, especially since it's been released. But why are we not getting protests over the Epstein files? Okay, that's a big question for a lot of people. And we had the protest for ICE. We have protests for no kings. Okay, so that's a big question that I've kind of seen a lot on the Facebook, and I say Facebook a lot, man, because I do get on there, and I think that's where you can get the most public knowledge from people as to things they think are influential in their life. So that also went into one of the reasons I am supporting who I am for governor. But another question or talking point, excuse me, of who we're gonna, of what we're gonna talk about is the question: is MAGA dead, or are they still blindly following Trump? Okay, this big MAGA movement that we had, you know, even coming from 15 and 16, "Make America Great Again" was the slogan that we all, myself included, have all promoted, and that's a real logical agenda to push. But as we all know, I don't believe that we've gotten that, and a lot of people can agree with me. And then we're going to talk on Trump releasing or announcing tariffs on all the countries, and this is his words, countries that have ripped America off for years and decades. So do I think that's good or do I think that's bad? And I'm not an economicist. Blah, blah, blah. This is dry, but I'm not economics. I've got the common knowledge to it, but I can't dive off into that, you know, full head of steam. So I would think that would be a talking point that y'all would like to look into yourself if you are interested in that. And I think it's a big topic to discuss. I do, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect you financially, and we'll talk on that. But excuse me, I had to wet my whistle a little bit because my tongue's getting twisted. And then we have a big topic that's like a main news right now going on is the cartel leader was El Mencho killed in the riots that insuated. Oh my God, man, I might have to just start all over with my tongue and shit. But anyways, pause. I don't want that to sound gay, but and that insinuated with tons of violence. I think we've all seen the clips on that. And then again, I'm going to talk on who I will support uh, as the Alabama governor, because, like I said, there's a lot of people running, and I don't think that many of them have the best interest for you. And that's about really it. I don't think there's a ton of stuff to talk about, but the things we do have to talk about, we can kind of get more in depth with. I'm trying to focus with that on my show, is trying to take the less talking points and kind of hit on them a little harder. But with these are kind of opinion based. And then I can provide you the facts that lead to my beliefs on that. The governor one's going to take a little bit of time because I think that is very important for most of my listeners. I don't have a lot of foreign listeners. I say foreign outside of the state of Alabama, but I do think it's very important to talk about. So the first talking point was, why are we not getting protests over the Epstein files? Okay, and a lot of people with common knowledge on how those protests work, uh, could kind of answer this for you, but the people that pay for the protest usually they would be protesting against themselves. So just here recently, like I said, in the state of Alabama, we see that they're advocating for a No Kings protest in Mobile. Well, you would think with the current events going on, you wouldn't be advocating for the No Kings protest. Like that would not be a main talking point to protest about. And for some reason, the only ones you ever see protesting are the left wing radical idiots and the Democrats. It just, it just so happens to fit their narrative. And this doesn't. So when you say it doesn't fit their narrative, and go ahead and understand that the Soros Foundation is the people that fund these protests. Okay. And I'm not saying they do it directly with their name on it, but if you ever trace back the money, see the even in the criminal world, if you can trace the money, you can find the person. You steal a debit card, they see where the transaction's at, they go to those cameras at that store, that ATM or whatever, and they see who you are. Okay. Everybody should know that. I think that even criminals know that because, and some of them don't, they're stupid. That's why they get caught. But the Soros, it's been linked to the Soros a ton, and the Democratic Party with Act Blue and the Somalian protest or the Somalian fraud that went on in Minnesota. So when I say that, they're going to be protesting themselves because let's not forget here, the Democrats are just as guilty as anybody that's in that Republican nomination or that Republican panel that's actually focusing on the Epstein files. Like, hey, now they want to talk about the Epstein files, but they're talking about it a little too late. Okay. Um, and to say that I would ever support a Democrat, probably not, because I can never morally align with them. Okay. And I want to hit on that because I've gotten a lot of criticism, and I say a lot of criticism. I've had a lot of questions asked. Do you still support Trump? And, um, and I, to, to hit on this, the reason I'm going to give you a little bit of, do I support Trump? No. Okay. I can't blindly support someone. And when I say that, and I do align with Trump on a lot more than what I have anybody else, to be honest with you. But in my time of 27, I've not really got to experience a lot of presidents other than, you know, the tail end of Bush, of course, 2008, up until 2008. And then, I had the crap hole Obama, the big eared monkey idiot. I had to deal with him. And then, the first oh my God, the Trump campaign and the presidency, which excelled my expectations. Like, I think he did a lot of great things there. But I also have to critique him on this administration. Then I've had to deal with Biden, which was the worst 4 years any political adversary's ever seen. Like, they were so far derailed, man. It was embarrassing to even be a part of that. But I wasn't a part of that. But to live in this country was. We're gonna talk back on the protest because I'm kind of not wanting to lead away from it because I want y'all to understand everything you see. Don't think too far off into it, but don't forget it. Okay, so don't sit here and think that the No Kings protest is just stupid. You're not gonna look into it. That's where my mind has gone before. This is just ignorant. This is so stupid. But now I'm questioning, like, why are you still, like, we've never had a king, okay? The United States of America has never had a king. British, that bullshit lasted not long, okay? So why are you still pushing that? Well, Trump's never declared to be a king, and you want to say he's ruling with a heavy thumb or whatever, but y'all have given him no option. I don't like, it's common sense. Y'all hate him so bad that you can't get past any good thing he does. I just watched and I want to talk about that more later in the week on my live on TikTok because I'm only doing one show a week now. I would like to focus on a live at least once to kind of hit my TikTok uh, audience and see what we can gather up from that. So if y'all agree with that, hey, let me know. If you don't, also let me know. But the whole protest thing here for the No Kings is kind of absurd, especially with what we've got going on now with the Epstein files, and you're pushing for it on social media, but you're still attending No Kings protests. But let's be real here. If Trump wasn't the president, would you be pushing for that? Or if a Republican was pushing for, let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say Biden's in office. He releases the Epstein files. He's all in them. Okay. He's all in them on not the victim side, but he's turning in Epstein. He's, being the whistleblower for the FBI. What are we doing here? Would y'all be still advocating, saying he's a piece of shit for not releasing them and acting on it? That's for the Democrats out there that are pushing for it. And hey, I've already touched on this shit too. Like, if you push for abortion, don't just shut the fuck up about the whole Epstein files. Like, you have no room to talk. Like, if you push for abortion, don't even speak out on the Epstein files. Period. Okay, that's just ignorance, and that's hypocritical of you. So I kind of, and I don't want to shy away from telling people, like, these protests are bullshit. Every one of them, the ICE protests, these No Kings protests, like, this is a money grab for half of them out there, and the ones that ain't getting the money out there are just fucking stupid. I mean, seriously, there's people on record saying that the Soros Foundation funds them to be out there, and they get paid for the louder they are, the more, I would say, tyrant they are, but the more, pain in the ass they are, they get paid more. And this is all, it's all proven. So, of course, we're not getting protests for Epstein. And also, you got to think on the right side of this. So, because this does attack the right side of the political advocates. Hey, you can't say that we can all go protest, because we really don't. I'm not going to say we don't have the time, because it seems like we're not interested in it. But we're also trying to go and allow the people who are responsible for that to handle that. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying the people that are in the files are responsible for handling the files, but those people that we voted in are responsible for, following through with the repercussions of the files. So if you're incriminated on those files and you're not in the slammer, it's somebody else's fault, but we will eventually handle it. I'm just telling you, I'm trying to be calm today. I don't want my blood pressure to get too high, but the files will be handled. Okay, I can assure you that, whether they handle it or we handle it. Okay, and that's not a threat. I'm not insinuating violence, so just know it'll be handled. And then I'm going to get off of that, because I don't want to get fired up, 15 minutes in the show. So, my next talking point is MAGA dead, or are they still blindly following Trump? Okay, and I want to talk on this because I've experienced it. I'm a big right-wing person. So, what a lot of people associate with that is I'm still a Trump supporter. So a lot of people come out to me and say, "Hey, Trump's doing great," and I'm gonna have to tell them, "Hey, turn on the fucking news, man. Go look at your TikTok. Go look at Facebook. It's there. The proof is in the pudding. If you don't believe what's on Facebook or TikTok, go fact check it for yourself." I really get upset seeing people blindly support someone, because I've done it, and I feel like that's a problem. But the comment on is MAGA dead, because a lot of people are saying the MAGA push is dead. I don't think it is. I'm not saying it's. We still, as citizens, want what's best for America. So, of course, we want America great. And when we say MAGA, I'm not saying Trump's little blind leader or blind followers. I'm literally saying people that want America to be great. So, if you want America to be great, don't let it die. But don't push for Trump blindly. And I hate to even insinuate that, or compare the MAGA movement for Trump to the regular MAGA movement for the American citizens. Like, we all want America first. We all want America to be great. But obviously we haven't gotten that. And so you do still see a lot of people, more of the boomer age, more of the upwards of 50 range, to be blindly supporting Trump. So all these people that are under the age of 40, they're not buying into the Trump MAGA movement, but we are more focused on the independence of America and, like, hey, this is a republic. Okay, and I hate to tell y'all this, but America hasn't been a republic for a long time. And when I say that, you have to think a lot of these presidents have had to push what they wanted out of executive orders. So when you follow an executive order, you're basically saying, like, hey, I'm pushing this in, and that's not how you actually president in a republic. So you shouldn't have to force all your shit in. And that goes back to the two-party problem that we have. I've always said from the time I was able to understand politics, which was I was oddly enough at a very young age, for a lot of people my age, I was very young. And I've always said, why do we have just a two-party system? And I get it, okay, the history of it, but let's be real. History has to adapt with times. And that has been a very hard thing for me. I'm still a hard-nosed Alabama football fan that says we should run the ball 45 times and have a smash mouth defense. I still think that would work, but would you be as efficient? Okay. And so now when I bring that into politics, like I still have the mindset of, you know, and that's not really the greatest metaphor to use, but I still believe that politics are in control of what we need is what's best for Americans. We're not getting that with a two-party system. We're not in a republic. I hate to say that. Like that's absolutely ridiculous to say, but it's 2026. Let's be real. We're not a republic. We haven't been a republic for a very long time. We have to push. Our president has to push all these executive orders to get shit done. Okay, just because we have crybabies on both sides, and I'm gonna call it how I see it. The Republicans got a full batch of fucking crybaby idiots that want to support Israel, and then the Democrats over here can't even tell you what they want to be, a male or a female today, and they want to cry when they don't get their way. We're in a government shutdown still because of that. And who's being targeted by that? We've already talked on it, so go back to my last episode. But it ain't who they think is going to be targeted by it. And we're still getting, we're still seeing the same shit that we saw. What was it? October, November, right there before Thanksgiving, we saw the same government shutdown that did not come out with a conclusion that they wanted, and they were still bitching about it. So no, I don't think the MAGA movement's dead. Should it be on the Trump side? Yes. Do I think the MAGA Trump movement should be dead? Yes. Do I think America First and Make America Great Again should be dead? No. Because at the end of the day, we all live here. Okay, only third world immigrant pieces of shit want to live in shit because that's what they're used to. Everybody else here does not. Other than these fucking liberals that are pushing for the immigration stuff. But I can promise you, none of them would bring these immigrants into their house, illegal immigrants into their house. Okay, they wouldn't house them, they wouldn't support them financially, but they are. They just don't directly see it unless they don't have a job, which is typical for that side of the spectrum here. Now we're going to talk about Trump announced the tariffs on all the countries. Okay, I think we went from, was it 5% or 10%, maybe even 15% more on the tariffs. And here's the arguments I've gotten into. I've gotten into this with Republicans. I've gotten into this with Democrats. I think the tariff is great. Now, the problem with the tariffs are you're going to struggle. Somebody down the line is going to struggle. For instance, I've done some work, and it's a corporation that's overseas, right? Well, they could not afford. They say they could not afford the tariff stuff, whatever. I think that's crock of shit. They could afford it. They don't want to pay it. That's a big problem. But anyways, they're trying to ship stuff from overseas, and then vice versa, ship out of the country or whatever. So there's people like that. Okay, they want to bring into this country for nothing because they were used to it, but they want to make all the profits in the world sending out. You don't get your cake and you eat it too, okay? That's a fucking problem for me. And these countries have taken advantage, these corporations have taken advantage of the United States and our niceness, our complacency, our no accountability on the side of, hey, you give me $100,000, $1,000,000, I'll let whatever slide out. That's a problem for me. But I do think it's good because here's where I'm at with this. As much as a lot of people don't want to see this ties back into our agriculture issues. Our agriculture, here's how I'm going to break this down to you. And I hope you understand because I've witnessed it with my own eyes. I've talked to farmers. I've talked to people in the agriculture industry. Like, I'm big on that. Obviously, I've got a whole stockyards hat on. So, a lot of people don't understand, but you will. A couple episodes back, I talked on the chicken industry. It's ran by Vietnamese. Okay. they're going to tarnish and ruin the chicken industry in America to where they're not going to use American supply on chicken because they're going to bring it down so bad that they have to rely on other countries like more than we are now. Same with the beef industry. Beef in America is going to be brought down. The grain is going to be brought down to where they have to outsource that. We have to pay other countries to come over here. And it just so happens that the nationality of the people that are ruining the agriculture side of things are going to profit off that in the long run. China, um, Korea, Vietnam. Like, look at our fish. We get our fish from tilapia. I won't eat tilapia because it's literally in China and they eat off human feces, and that's absolutely disgusting to me. But what they do is they come within and they tear it down, so we have to rely on somebody else to go get it, and they profit off of it there. So it's part of it. So what you do is you say, um, "Hey China, you need beef. You have to have beef. We outsource our beef. We have enough in America to provide for somebody else. Soy, cotton, corn, all this stuff the other countries do need. Okay, you go outside of the Central Americas, there's not a lot of cattle. Okay, you go out to the Middle East, they're eating goats. Um, so we are obviously in need. So what's going to happen is, and in my beliefs, I'm not economicist, whatever you want to call it. I don't really study the economics of a lot of this stuff. I do see the talking points on it, but I'm not that in depth with it because I don't know. The problem is they're going to collapse in America. This is how it goes. It fails within, so you have to outsource because we're not going to starve. Okay, they go and get it from overseas. They put it in your grocery stores. You pay $30 for a thing of hamburger meat. Okay, well, we've collapsed here, so we have to go get it from there. But China is not going to produce enough beef to provide for their country. They're not going to produce enough soybean, corn. They just don't have the climate for that. Now, maybe on the beef side, they can go get some, different climate type of animals. Like we have Angus, Brahma, uh, Herefords, all this kind of stuff over here that they don't have there. So what we have to focus on is do not let it collapse here. That's a big thing. And any kind of here's here's one of the main things that you can do to get my support is support the agriculture side of things. And Rodney Walker, a lot of people have kind of downplayed that. He hasn't. So he's going to get some support out of me, and I'm going to look into him a little bit more and his plans and his agendas to things and how he's going to accomplish it. I don't want to hear what you are going to do. I want to see how you're going to do it. If you can invite and if you can tell me that, dude, you got my vote. And to be honest with you, a lot of people have hit me up on who I am voting for. So I am a little bit of influence to some people about who they will vote for and tell them to look into some things. So back to what I was saying about the tariffs. If we hit them hard enough, they're not gonna budge on it at the beginning. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's gonna take a minute for them to say, okay, fuck it. We've got to buy beef from the Americas. We got to buy it from, and I say the Americas, the United States. We've got to buy soy. We've got to buy cotton. We got to have it. So we're going to buy it from where we can get it from. And that's more money because now we have a higher percentage on the tariffs. So that's my opinion on the tariffs. I do think it's great. I don't think that a lot of people are willing to be uncomfortable in that because the tariffs are going to affect us on the beginning. So when we do start seeing results out of the tariffs, it has to be pretty quick because you're going to start losing the following. And I've already encountered a ton of Trump supporters or just Republicans in general or more people that is on the both sides of this saying tariffs are terrible, but you have to look into it on the long run. Okay, the long run, it could buy out, it could work. Um, any country is going to have to rely on us at some point, whether it's anything like oil. They're going to have to say, screw it, we'll pay it because they have the money to do it. Most of them do. China, all them other people do. And like I said, I don't know a lot about the economic side of that. Um, I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna start on this. We're kind of moving through this pretty quick. I don't have a ton of time, like always. I know I'm sorry to say that all the time, but I at least try to average about an hour to give y'all a little bit more to listen to. And if I have to shorten up my shows so y'all can view it a little bit more and not take up so much of your time, I can work on that. Just bear with me on some things. I would like to get my viewership back up to help people. I don't care. I'm the same person with money or without money. I'm that's who I am. I'm just this person. So I would like to be able to get my viewership back up so I can educate, especially people my age, man. I love to see that people are going out and voting, but I don't want you to blindly vote because you're just wanting to show up and make an appearance and do your thing and then forget about it, because it reflects a lot for however many terms you're just voting on that person for. Presidency, presidential wise. Man, I'm disappointing myself tonight. Presidential wise, you got 4 years, a minimum, 8 at the maximum. Okay, you think it's just 4 years. It flies by, yeah, but they go through a lot while they're in there. So don't blindly support somebody. Don't blindly vote for somebody. Really do your stuff on investigating these people and really making it matter, because your vote does matter. I hate seeing people say, "Well, I'm just not going to go vote. It doesn't matter." It does, man. It does. Just give them, if they're going to cheat you like they did in Georgia, just give them that one more person to have to work on cheating you out of. Eventually, they're going to get tired of it, or it's going to be fixed. I would pray it's going to get fixed, but we don't know. So just really focus on who you're voting for and don't just go vote, okay? The cartel leader El Mencho was killed and the riots insinuated after this. So we've all seen the clips. Actually, they kind of, I don't know if they put a 100% travel ban on the travel to Mexico or whatever, but they did say shelter in place if you're an American citizen or anybody in Mexico, for that matter, because there is a ton of violence coming out of it. And we knew that was going to happen, but that's Mexico's problem. And the way I say that, the way I see that, is Mexico knew what they had going behind closed doors. Okay, there was a lot of people that were, in the cartel, that was in their government, their police forces. They couldn't count on them to do shit for them. They were all, "Hey, sign me $100, I'll let you go," running all these drugs or whatever, or, "Hey, be a part of the cartel. You can benefit from that." And financially they could benefit from that, but they killed the leader, and all these riots and these shootings. I've seen the clips of the people in the airport. I've seen the buses burned, the roadblocks. It's a big deal. What I'm going to say about this is, in America, don't get too comfortable, because let's not forget, just a few years ago, Biden let 10 million illegal immigrants in this country over the border. So they're here. They've been here for a very long time. But just so happens when Biden opened that border, a lot more came. And not just Latin Americans or, whatever. Chinese military-age males come over here. Iranian people come over here. A lot of bad news come over that border. So all these people, and I'm not going to insinuate this on anybody, and I'm not going to want it on nobody, but I'm just going to tell you right now, if you were advocating for defunding ICE or shutting them down, shut the fuck up. Okay, that's going to be the harsh reality. If they come to your neighborhood and they start rioting and shooting shit up and you get dropped in the middle of the street, you did it to your fucking self. That's a cold, hard, raw truth. And that's what I've told y'all from the start I'm going to give you. So if you're over here advocating for ICE and these illegal immigrants and saying, "Oh, ICE needs to be shut down," shut up. At some point, you got to be held accountable. There we are, back to the accountability side of things, for your fucking mouth. It just so happens you're not going to get punched in the face for it at all times. You have before, but you're not going to get punched in the mouth every time you open it now. But you're willing to die on your streets in your neighborhood because you let these people over here. Do you think for 1 second they're not pissed off that their leader just got killed? That's just one of them. If those cartels ever decide, "Hey, we're going to work together," they could run shit in America. It's 21% of America's the Latin descendants, right? So don't ignore that, and it's going to grow because we don't have ICE pushing them out. Our borders are still open. If you want to admit that or not, they are. So I know it's America's. This is what I talk about is America first and the advocacy for America and all this other stuff. But this affects us one way or another. We had our hand in that cookie jar, and y'all are going to get bit because now you've let all these illegals in. You've just let them do whatever they wanted. You don't want ICE to touch them. Well, you're in the shit bag now. It's going to come back to bite you now. So if they do decide to do that, I don't want to hear a damn word. I probably won't even talk about it, but I'll laugh about it because that's what it is. It's funny to me. It's funny that you're out here pushing for, oh, they're still human beings. Yeah, but I'm sorry, they're here to shoot you in the fucking face, or they're here to rape and pillage over your family. And get used to it. You let them here. Let them in your house. Fuck it. Let them in your house. That's what you want to advocate for. You want to say that, oh, they should be here. Why? So they should ruin my culture and they should ruin my wealth that I've accumulated that's not much, but you think I should pay for that? I should pay for them to come over here and kill me and hate me like we're doing the Muslims? Like, come on, bro. Be real. And there's not a lot of people that listen to my show. I'm not stupid that advocate for illegal immigration that are wanting that to happen. There's not. There's not a lot of people that are pushing for that. So let's just be real here. If you see them, go ahead and tell them, like, hey, when those riots start from the cartel and they come to your neighborhood and they're at your front door, y'all don't want to hear a fucking word about it. So that's where you're at with that. I have no sympathy for you. That's your accountability having to come into play. Open your mouth and you let your little alligator ass overload your hummingbird, your alligator mouth overload your hummingbird ass. That's exactly where that's come from. And like I said, I'm trying to rush through this, but this next topic is where I'm going to end it at, and I'm going to talk about it for a little bit because it's important to me and most of my viewership. I'm going to wet my whistle a little bit before that happens. I think it's very important to talk about, and I don't think anybody should just literally ignore the fact that it's in our face and it has to happen. But excuse me. So I've gotten a lot of questions on this, and I've been vocal about it on Facebook, and I got a little bit of backlash, and that's okay. Who do we support for Alabama governor? And, well, I'll tell you who I'm going to support. I'm going to support the one that is most transparent socially. When I say that, you get a lot of these people like Tuberville. Tuberville is going to talk a lot. Tuberville is also backed by AIPAC. Sorry, I'm out. As an American who wants what's best for Americans and Alabamians, I'm out. You're trash. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna support Will Santovisky. I'm sorry I butchered the last name, but I do know him personally, and I do know that I've criticized the governor announcements from a lot of people and his when I first saw it. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, can't believe he's running for governor. I never would have saw that. I don't really know that he's going to do a lot for Alabama. Now, that was my first initial, vision on it. Well, I would like to admit that I'm a little bit wrong on that, but I would like to investigate that some more. So when I tell y'all that, I would like for y'all to also go and do the due diligence to see it for yourself. Now, here's some of these talking points on why I would like to support him. And this is just based off his website. I've not got to sit down with him and talk to him. I would love the opportunity to do so, and I would like to inform y'all on what we discuss. I would be public about it on Facebook or wherever I need to be to get his, because if I'm going to support somebody, I want them to win. I'm in this shit to win, okay? And I'm in this shit to win for Alabama. I'm in this shit to win for the United States of America. Okay, I don't give a fuck what goes on in Florida. I do. Fishback, I want him to win there, and I really hope he does. But I can't vote there, so I can't say. Now, the only part of Florida is I vacate there, and I can't stand going there half the time because it's a shithole, and that's because they've had weak governors. And DeSantis had my support at one point in time till he took money from AIPAC. Now it's a Jew shitbag. And when I say this, now let me understand something. I want all y'all to understand something. and this is why I haven't really been public about who I will support also, is because I will have a little bit of backlash behind me. If I'm public about who I support, there's going to be some people that criticize that, and there's going to be some people that will look at that and say, well, fuck, if it white nationalist guy is supporting him, he can't be good for me because I don't see the same views as that. Now, don't get there with me, because I will argue with you facts after facts after facts and opinion based on who you're going to support, because the other ones, fuck them. I ain't, no, you ain't got it for me. Okay. So, like I said, if Will ever listens to this, or any of his family that want to show him this, I will support you and I will advocate for you, but I need to see results when they're presented to you. And I know you're not in the place to do that right now, but if you do get elected, don't make me regret it, please. But with that being said, when I support somebody, there's going to be some backlash. Not everybody agrees with me, and not a lot of people, but I will fight for you. If I do support you, I will fight for you. But don't make me regret it, because I've regretted it with Trump. So, shit. What a lot of people are going to call me a lot of names: racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, whatever. So if you don't want my support, somebody let me know. This will be the last time I bring it up. But if you don't want my support and you tell me all that stuff, I don't know if I could support you on the voting polls, because then I know you don't back with what I align with for what's best for Alabama, in my opinion. I'm only one vote. But I do think that my support will gain you some traction into some people that never knew about you. So somebody, you can let me know on that at the end of this, or whenever I post this, because I'm not the most professional person in the world. Obviously, I'm spitting in a water bottle, but that helps my nervous stuff going on. But anyways, back to Will. So I gained all this. I got this all off his website, and it's points that he wants to fix. Now, understand, somebody can tell you they'll gold plate your roof, but if you go up there and it's not gold, it's bronze or something like that, then you know they did the best they can. It's the way I see it. Now, some of these things he's probably going to be limited on in the ability to fix, but I do like his ideas as far as what I've seen. Now, I would love to know if anybody passes along the Will, if anybody can educate me on, specifically him, on how you're going to do this, then you will have my blind support within doing these actions, because I do agree with all of them that I have listed. This is not all of them that he listed, because some of the stuff I just he wants to grow our economy within the state, and I do agree with that. I do think that we need more business here, but I do think we also need to not forget where we're come from. Okay, this is an agricultural based state. Let's not forget that. This is a state that's filled with trees that can be profitable for people if stuff is worked out right. And when I say that, hey, the middleman don't need as much as they're getting. These loggers need the help. These construction companies need the help. Um, and they need, Trump's going to implement tax cuts for these people, but it needs more local level help. Okay. And if that becomes like instead of, and I've talked on this too, instead of these minorities getting all these government contracts, if you see a logger that is a great business, they've been there, but they're struggling, let's help them get some more money. Let's advocate for them. Maybe get some of these federal contracts for the national forest, whatever we can do to help them. And like I said, I would love to hear Will's input on this and his opinion on how he can do it and go about doing it on the governor level. And you're going to understand that whoever is going to be governor is going to they're going to face some kind of opposition, whether it's whoever they're running against or the citizens that's not going to align with them. But I just want you to know that you work for everybody, but you don't have to cater to everybody, okay? And that I'll take a little bit of heat from that. Like, hey, you don't have to work the whole time in office for what I want to accomplish if you can help somebody else that aligns with me somewhat, because I do believe this is the building block for the state. Like, we need these things. He wants to cut out property tax. I 110,000% agree with that. I do believe that's going to be a very hard thing to accomplish, because what are you going to replace it with? Don't put it on us, please. But I will say that my grandmother, who is retired, whose house has been paid off for a long time, should not owe property tax. Because if we do live in a free country, right, and she's paid her dues to own this stretch of property that she's sitting on, she don't owe the government a fucking thing. And that's the cold reality to all that. I don't believe that retired people should pay fucking property tax. I don't believe in that at all. And I 110% agree with you on that. I would like to see how you could go about doing that. Now understand, I'm not just looking at it on the education side of me. I would love to understand, you know, what can we do to supplement that? Because it's going to have to be supplemented. That brings in a lot of money for the government, and they're not just going to let that slide. But hey, we're off to a good start. Let's work on it, okay? The vote on the lottery. Okay, so I've been vocal about this, and you get a lot of backlash on this one from the boomers. And as much as I hate to say this, because I've been accused of it too, but you're going to get a lot of backlash from the boomers and the Bible thumpers. I have nothing against the Bible thumpers, because what they're thumping is how I live my life, and I'm supposed to live my life. That is the layout for how to live your life. But when you get backlash on that vote for the lottery, you have to bring out the positives to it, the roads, the infrastructure. That's going to go back to helping your economy grow. If you can secure the lottery, I can promise you this: there won't be as many people going to Georgia and spending their money on the lottery for Georgia, and it benefits their roads, their education system. Now that is one thing I did not really understand about why can't people get on board with this. The funds that would go to the education system is astronomical. We shouldn't even second guess it. But whatever, obviously we've done it for a long time. Another big talking point is he wants to invest in the Alabama education system. So here's the stat for all y'all. Within the Southeast, you got Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. All of those have grew just exponentially. Like, we've grown a lot, education wise. Alabama used to be, I think it was like the 45th ranked state due to attendance, and we're in the top 25. Mississippi has changed they're beating Massachusetts up there, where Boston and all that shit's at, and their education. Louisiana's doing the same. Everybody's growing educationally wise here. So whatever we're doing, let's go ahead and bump it up a little bit more. Let's invest in these kids, because they are our future, and they matter. Because when I say they're our future, they are the building blocks to your house. Would you want a shitty foundation for your house? No. Would you want something that's going to sink and crack, and then you look at your walls and they're splitting, 2 years after your brand new construction house was built? No. So invest in your kids, man. Invest in your kids at home. Invest in your kids' school system. Invest in your children, man. That is very important. And when I say invest in the Alabama Education Department, if you can secure that lottery, go ahead and know that a lot of it needs to go to our education system, because a lot of it is failing, man. There's schools out there that are failing financially. They're looking for these federal funds. They can't get it because their attendance is failing, because of the communities, whatever. That needs to be invested in astronomically. But we really need to talk about this one, and because it touches home with me. He wants to improve the construction infrastructure. So, as most of y'all may know, I do operate heavy equipment for a construction company. So that does mean a lot to me. That's going to be a fine line for a governor to handle. I think that the president really couldn't handle that one as much. It's just because, and I experience it all the time. But here, these construction company owners, they would rather have $55 million in their bank account than to invest in their business. So it's hard for you and me, as a taxpaying citizen of the state of Alabama, to invest in a construction company. Now, I invest in them. I go to work for them. I get a lot of shit done. And I'm not tooting my own horn on that, but I do. I get a lot of shit done, and it's done right. And I take pride in my work. The accountability side of that is, hey, if I touched it, I want it to look good. I don't want somebody to drive by and assume that I was on it and it looks like dog shit. So I take a ton of responsibility in that. But I do want to know more on how he plans on improving the infrastructure of the construction side of things, because the profit margins are there for the business owner. Now, a lot of them fail. A lot of them do fail. But that also goes back to the logistics of their business. They fail because they invest in money in the wrong things or whatever. But if you can bring in-state construction companies, and I'm talking about in the state of Alabama, and you can pretty much guarantee them that Alabama work. A lot of these companies in Birmingham, uh, they have to travel, man, because you can only build so much. Now, I'm not saying let's build the whole damn state, because I still am back on the agriculture side of things. I don't believe in turning farmland into these cracker box ass houses. I don't believe in the data centers. You let a data center pop up around me, I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to be there at their council meetings, and I'm going to say, this is bullshit. Do not bring this to our state. Do not bring this into our communities. I do not believe in data centers, period. There's some popping up in Montgomery, Bessemer, all in Birmingham. They're popping up, and I need you people to go out there and shut that shit down. And this one, I love this one. I really do love this one. The no tax on the healthy foods. So, let me say this. Your body needs fuel, okay? You go to the gas station, let's say your car. Obviously, your car gets gas. Everybody on here gets gas unless they ride a damn bicycle to work, which I doubt it. But you're putting gas, let's say watered down gas, in your car. It's not going to run good, okay? So why would you give your body shit foods? It's not going to run good. We have all these health defects. We have all these obesity stuff going on in America, specifically in the Southeast, because, hey, we fry everything. I'm guilty of that, man. I'm not in the best shape of my life. But the no tax on the health foods, the healthy foods, hey, man, that's a big problem because that stuff is very expensive. You go out there and get that healthy food compared to the shit food, and you could save a lot of money getting shit food. So it would help on the no tax to that. I don't know how you could control that and what you would use to label it as healthy. And I don't want it to trickle down to the farmers that provide it. So I know we're working on in-state stuff, but we have a lot of agriculture in our state. So let's just say hamburger meat, let's say it's labeled or beef. Anything in the beef industry is going to be labeled as healthy foods based off what Kennedy's came out recently and said. So where you're going to go on this is you're going to cut the taxes. So somebody in the middle of this is going to lose a profit margin of whatever, which would be the state. The state's not going to be willing to lose that profit margin. I don't believe that they would be willing to cut on some taxes on certain things unless it's in their best interest to eat healthy. So with that being said, I don't want it to trickle to the farmers. If he has a plan to prevent that, I'm big on the farming. I'm big on infrastructure of Alabama and the economy side of this. We really have some things we need to work on, okay? And everybody knows that. Everybody can acknowledge that. But another big thing is the improving on the veteran services. The VA is the biggest shit bag hole ever. But it's federally funded. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, but I believe the VA is federally funded. It's a shithole. I wouldn't send my dog to the VA. So what we could do in the state of Alabama, we could hold them accountable, okay? And when I say hold them accountable, it's like, hey, you know, we're short staff on nurses, but I know nurses make a lot more than this, but if we're paying them $20 an hour at the VAs, but we have a shit staff, we have complaints of how our doctors are treating these patients. What is the best way to bring in the best? Is put more money into it, even on the local level of state. I'm sure that people would come from all over to benefit the pay side of that, because we have a lower cost of living in Alabama than other places. But if people are making more money in the state of Alabama at the VAs, you just look at people coming in, and they're going to be good nurses, okay? And they can give you better bedside manner. They can have better doctors. I'm not saying go get the doctor that's going to lie to you and tell you, oh, the world's full of rainbows and, chocolate fountains and shit. That's not going to be a reality to it. But who has the best healthcare options? Who's going to be the better on the bedside manner? Who's going to be the better doctor? Period. Like you can impact that better with our veteran services, and why not help with the veterans more than these illegals? That's one of the big things for me. We're bringing in illegals and giving them free housing, but we have veterans living under the fucking bridge, whether they have an alcohol addiction or not. They need the help, man. They fought for this fucking country. Okay, that we owe them a debt. They signed up for it. I cannot stand hearing that. Okay, they signed up for that. They need to hold accountability for that, and I believe that. But a lot of this stuff, man, the war does a lot of shit to people, man. And I'm tired of seeing them come here and get shit on for what they bled and sweat for and they cried for, man. That's just absurd to me that we treat our veterans like shit, okay, in this country. Um, and so that's why I support Will. Of course, I would love to be educated more on these topics and how we're going to go about doing this. And I say we, him. But I would love to see how we're going to impact this and like change shit because it needs to be changed. And a lot of his talking points are great and excellent. And he has, obviously put up a poll on his Facebook on things that he wanted to work on. And he got the vote from the people on Facebook. And I think he's not catching enough traction. And I really want to change that and help him. But I will tell you this. Okay, this is my next talk. I saved this one for last because it's really fucking pissed me off. So on the Democratic side, you have Doug Jones. He'll never get my vote. He's a liberal. He's an idiot. He's a Democrat. I would love to encounter him and talk to him and tell him a piece of my mind. And a lot of people are this Chad Chig Martin guy on the Democratic side. A lot of people are saying I want to vote for him. Let me just be honest with you about one thing and one thing only, because I do not know a ton about this guy. And that's weird to me. And that might be on myself because of whatever, my investigative skills or whatever. But what I have gathered, and when this is the first thing I see, is this man has investments in the pot industry and marijuana. Now, with that being said, I don't give a shit if it's recreational, whatever. I don't agree with it, whatever. I don't, and I'm just, that's just me. I'm sorry. But what you need to understand about that guy is he's vocal about what he owns and what he does plan on doing with the state of Alabama. That's legalizing marijuana. Don't think he's doing it for your best interest, okay? Let's not get that confused. He owns money in marijuana, so he wants it to be legal in the state of Alabama so he can profit off of it. He's no different than anybody that takes money from APAC, okay? Just, we hate APAC. We should not really like this guy. That's his main goal. And so I just gave you a list of what Will wants to improve on, and none of it included marijuana. That's perfectly fine. If you want to smoke marijuana in Alabama for medicinal uses, then maybe you should talk to Will about it. And maybe he can see if he wants to work on that, if he believes in that. Don't, whatever. But this Chad guy has very much been advocating for the marijuana legalities in Alabama, only because he wants to profit from it. And I don't really think that he cares much more about that. So we're gonna vote in a guy for 4 years that works on the fucking marijuana being legalized for his profits, and that's it. That's all we're gonna focus on. If you want to smoke your weed, smoke your weed. But hey, I'm sorry, I can't vote for somebody because of that ideology of, oh, let's just legalize weed in Alabama. No, sir. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. You got no other talking points that you want to talk about that's going to benefit everybody else. I've never smoked weed. I don't care to ever smoke weed. So it doesn't benefit me, like, at all. It just benefits your pocketbook and those people that need the medicinal side of it. And I don't really think we need to vote somebody in just for that sole purpose. I think that could be accomplished without him. And then you got Tommy Tuberville. I've already told you about Tommy. He's a APAC fuckface. I mean, the dude's taking tons of money. I don't think he was that good of a football coach, but I'm an Alabama fan, so I'll never like him. But I hate hearing that because I want what's best for this state, and I do not believe it's him. But let's talk about Jermaine Brown. Let me just read you off, and I wrote it down. So there was a comment on one of his posts, and I don't know why I keep saying his dumbass shit. It's a joke. He's a mockery. He's gonna make a mockery out of this state. He makes his whole campaigning a mockery. He's a drunk, and he claims to be a pastor. So when I tell you this, when I read off what he said under a comment, just go ahead and know this guy claims to be a pastor, but he's a joke. And he is making the Alabama governor race a joke. He's taking it not serious. He wants to get up there and hold cookouts at the governor's mansion. Somebody commented, and it just so happened to be a white guy, under his post calling him a pickle butt or something like that. Something kind of funny. I thought it was funny, but basically calling him out saying, hey, you're making this a mockery and it's not a mockery. Pickle butt. Whatever. It was some kind of bullshit, and he was talking shit. So when you run for governor, go ahead and know you have to address people the correct way. His comment was, fuck you and your kids. And I quote this because I literally typed it and spelled it how he spelled it, which is ignorant as shit. But fuck you and your kids and your dead folks, comma, bitch. Close quotations. That was a comment from a so-called pastor. So, and he did that to multiple people, posting pictures of people's kids. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really care about this guy. I don't think he's going to get many votes. And the only people he's going to get votes from, and obviously the ones that support him, are the ghetto black people. The ones that you can manipulate with a bucket of chicken. Okay? And that's just calling it how it is. It takes nothing to vote for them or to bring them in to vote because he's black. And let's just be honest here, call a spade a spade. He's getting the representation from them because he's black. I believe in what you're talking about, master. Yes, sir. Shut the fuck up. Please, just don't even go vote. Please find a way to not go vote because your vote is absolutely irrelevant and absolutely stupid. The vote, if you anyways, man. And then let's talk about Darren Knight. I've seen a lot of him getting traction because he's a comedian. Don't vote him in, okay? Here's a thing, and I have not wrote down anything off him. I'm literally on the last page of my information, and I don't care. There's nothing else to read. Don't vote him in. He's a comedian. The only sole purpose of him running for governor is to fix the Alabama power shit. And it is only because it affects him directly. If it never affected him, he would never run for governor. Okay? He allegedly has been caught in sexual acts with another man. And I say allegedly, so come at me if you want to, but I heard it was behind the smoking moose. But I said allegedly, so you can fuck yourself. And also, his response to a lot of people are just like the Jermaine Brown shit. It's just not professional. I can't get behind that. And Will is absolutely, like, I would say he's prospered as a businessman, so he knows the money side of things. And I like him as a person. Obviously, he's got some morals to him that maybe I don't agree with. I don't really know. I've never educated myself on his morals and never asked him. But he's never done me wrong. Okay, and a personal shit aside, he has a great idea of what he wants to talk about, and Darren has literally stuck to the Alabama power shit. Okay, so when I made a Facebook post about these people running for governor, and I've gotten nothing for Darren Knight. Wants to talk about who's running or who's going to fix Alabama power shit. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if the governor of Alabama can handle that because it's a Southern company. It's not just Alabama Power. And the Southern Company was in the Epstein files, and they owed like $28 million to whoever that was dealing with Epstein. They took basically a a loan from him. So that being said, oh, we're not voting for Darren Knight. Okay, and I've seen a lot of people say they are, and they're stupid. He made a mockery out of them. Let me just say, if you didn't line with him, and if this ever gets out there to him, he's probably going to try to come after me some way. I don't give a fuck. But he won't see me out there in the parking lot. I promise you that. But here I am getting ghetto when you look at me. My inner black is coming out. But yeah, just I can't stress this enough. Please don't vote for somebody because they're a comedian and they say they're going to do anything about the Alabama Power stuff. If that's their sole purpose of running for governor, it's no different than Chad Martin. It's no different from the Jamel Browns, and quite honestly, no different than Tommy Tuberville. Because they've got one idea for 4 fucking years. I'm supposed to count on you to do 100,000 things in 4 fucking years with one thing in mind when you go in there. Please don't. And I don't want to see the governor's mansion in some kind of comedy skit because Alabama's not no fucking joke. Okay, we're something to be proud of. I mean, you're supposed to be proud of this place. It's a beautiful state. It needs to be taken care of. It needs to be invested in. And stuff needs to happen in Alabama. I don't care that we have the biggest cities in the world. I'm not that person. I want some great agriculture. I want great health care. I want great veteran services. I want great education. I want all of that. I don't care to have the marijuana. I don't care. I do care about the Alabama Power stuff, but I don't see you doing it, Darren. Leave that. Let's just drop that. Tell me what you're gonna fix on the infrastructure side and the economics of Alabama, and not what just benefits you in the long run. Because if he didn't have Alabama Power, he would never jump in this vote. He could have Coosa Valley Power, and he would be over there living lavish on the high on the hog, whatever, in his fucking mansion in Mumford. It's a beautiful house. Don't get me wrong, but it's a pretty house. So, um, anyways, I'm gonna try to close this up because it's getting late. Tired. I'm not on my best tonight, obviously. Anyways, so what I will say is I'm not going to do another show this week. What I do plan on doing is going on live on TikTok, probably on Thursday. Might work it out on a Friday. We'll see. But hey, man, if y'all see this, please share this and try to get people included in this, man, because I do feel like I'm actually doing a little bit. I'm not saying I'm going to take credit for any of this because uh, if I don't have the viewership, I don't reach enough people, and I am here for the American people and the people for this state. I would love to be able to talk with Will, and hell, if you're another governor running and you think that I can help you benefit from, and I can see past whatever you've said so far, I might be willing to talk to you just to see and maybe critique you. Because at the end of the day, I do want what's best for Alabama, and I do believe it is Will. And I'm gonna try not to say your last name because I'm not the best at pronouncing your last name. I'm just so hick from Alabama, but I do hope that the state does what's best for the state, and the people come out to vote for who they feel is the best, and I believe it is Will. So please don't just go up there and bullshit and vote for whoever. Really investigate these people, look into these people, really focus on what they plan on doing and accomplishing while they're there, and don't let them just go up there and collect a check and legalize their weed or fix Alabama Power stuff, and that be that, because that's a wasteful 4 years to just this shit. Nothing will change, nothing will be benefited, no, nothing will fix it, and if anything, it might decline. And I saw something, and I will say this real quick. Uh, I'll talk about it another day. But anyways, y'all have a great night. Thank you for listening, and please share, like, and subscribe to whatever you can. Help me out on TikTok. I will be on live one day this week, and I'll announce it on my Facebook or the page's Facebook. But I will be on live on TikTok one day this week. Like I said, I'll keep y'all updated. But my TikTok name is DJ_Darby_. So If you could go over there, give me a follow. Look at what I post. That's who I am. I don't sugarcoat for nobody. Quite honestly, I get a lot of restrictions on my life because I am who I am, and I do get to interact with people, and I love the fact